So you build rapport quickly, you qualify quickly, and then the third, and I want you to write this down. If you're not taking notes, I want you to start taking notes again and write this down. Get to a yes or a no in one presentation. Yes or no. As salespeople, we all want to hear yeses. We all want to hear yeses. That's what pays our bills. That's where we make our commission. That's where we hit pay dirt. We all want to hear yes because that's where problems are solved. That's where our problems are solved, and everyone wins when someone says yes. When somebody sells something, everybody wins. And if you're not selling something where everyone wins, just don't watch my videos anymore. I don't want to train people who are trying to sell ice to Eskimos or some crazy thing, selling people stuff that they don't need. But you should be in a system where everybody wins when you make a sale. And getting to a yes is where everyone wins. But what most salespeople fear, their biggest fear is hearing a no. And I want you to change your thinking on this, because a no can be your second best friend next to a yes. A no is something that gets you closer to a yes. Let me explain. If you're like the average salesperson right now, you have about a 10% closing ratio. I'm going to get you up to, well over 50%. I was once at over 90% closing ratio when I was doing nothing but selling. Because of my ability to build rapport and qualify quickly, I was over a 90% ratio on the appointments that I set. And I'm going to get you close to that level, as many of my producers are. But right now, the average salesperson is about a 10% closing ratio. And you may be at 20, you may be at 40. At a 10% closing ratio, that means you have to hear 9 no's before you get a yes. If you're at a 20% closing ratio, that means you have to hear 4 no's before you get a yes. At a 50% closing ratio, you have to hear 1 no before you get 1 yes. And then, of course, if you get to 90, you got to hear 1 yes, 9 yeses before you get 1 no. And so every no you get will mean you're about to get 9 yeses. So it's all a numbers game, and it's all proportional to the amount of people we talk to. And wherever you're at right now, that's okay. You're going to get better. But the main thing you need to realize is that every no you get gets you closer to another yes. So you want to get no's. But what is the biggest enemy of the average salesperson, of any salesperson? And this is the one thing that all $1 million a year producers and top producers in any industry understand that other people don't. And the biggest enemy is a maybe. And we're going to talk more about maybes and how to overcome maybes. But a maybe, I'll just say it this quickly, is going to suck your time dry. It's going to have you chasing bad quality leads, people with a low percentage chance of actually buying from you, spending all of your time where you could be talking to good qualified prospects, talking to people who are going to give you the runaround. And it's also going to make you think that you've done a good job and that you're going to get a sale later because of the work you've done today, when actually you've done a poor job because you didn't get them to a yes or a no in one call. So I want you to write this down. If you have a clean sheet of paper or even a clean post-it note that you can put on your computer screen or somewhere in a conspicuous place, I want you to write this down on a clean piece of paper and put it somewhere where you can see it all the time. Here's what I want you to write. I will never make 2 calls to the same prospect. I will never make 2 calls to the same prospect. If you write that down and if you go and immediately implement this, it's going to do 2 things for you. First of all, it's going to force you to never listen to maybes and never let them suck your time dry. But second of all, and most importantly, is it's going to force you to up your skill level to where you do and handle everything that needs to be possibly handled in one call. Psychologists tell us this. When you're looking to make a decision and when you're researching something and you have information on something, while you're looking at that, you normally understand about 90% of what's going on there. About 90% of the information pertained that you're in this video right now that I'm talking about is you're going to understand, that you're on board with it right now. But what's interesting is once this video is over and you go back and you start checking your email or you get on another sales call or whatever else, in just 15 minutes afterwards, you're going to go from retaining about 90% of the information that I've talked to only remembering and understanding about 50% in just about 15 minutes. And then you take that to an hour, it's a little bit less. And you take that to 2 hours, it's a little bit less. Until the time you get to the next morning, you're going to only remember about 5 to 10% of what we talked about in this video. That's why I told you earlier to make sure that you go and implement what I'm talking about immediately after watching this, because then it will become a part of you and you will own it if you implement it. In the same way, your prospects will never have a better time to make a decision on what you're talking about with them than when all the facts are in front of them. Now, it is your job to present all of the facts, to hit all their emotional and psychological triggers, and if you have my script, it's going to do that for you if you just emote and read it correctly. It's going to hit that, and in time, you're going to begin to understand it more and more. But if you just follow the script and you follow those who have been before you, those things will be handled for you, and the only way to learn all of those things is to watch these videos and then to look into the script and to actually use what's in there, and then it will become a part of you and it'll be ingrained, and before long you'll get to a level of what we call conscious competence, which means you know what you're doing and you're doing it well, and that's why you're making the sales. So if you integrate what we're talking about here, it's going to make all the difference in the world immediately. Now, your prospects, just like you, will only remember about 5 to 10% of what we're talking about here. If they say they want to think about it, if they want to wait, if they want to talk to someone else or whatever else, what's going to happen is they're going to move on with their daily lives. They're not going to think about it. I've never seen anyone say they want to think about it and actually take notes on what I'm talking about. Go in, get a quiet room, contemplate the decision, draw a line that says this is the advantages, disadvantages, call in to people they know and ask for advice or whatever else. What they do is they go on with their daily lives, and then they wait for another salesperson to come along who can actually hit all their emotional triggers and make them feel comfortable with the sale and get it done. And that's the reason why, is because people respond emotionally. Write that down. People respond to me emotionally. When someone says, I want to think about it, I need to talk to my cousin, brother, dog, sister, whatever, what they're actually doing is, yes, they are lying to you, but let's not call them liars. They are giving you a representation of an emotion that they're feeling. And that emotion is, I do not feel comfortable making this decision yet. Now, another way that we talk about this internally is they're saying, you haven't sold me yet. Because when someone is sold, that means they emotionally feel comfortable with the decision to the point where the risk of making a decision are outweighed by the benefits that they perceive that they will get by making that decision. And it's your job to get them to that point. Now, we're going to have a lot of videos and a lot of training that's going to teach you exactly how to do that. For now, I want to confine the discussion to how to overcome these excuses. Let me think about it. I want to do something when you're getting into the whole thing. So, how to overcome these excuses. First of all, let's understand why you get these excuses. And I want you to think real quickly back to the last time you were involved with a salesperson on your own as a prospect. You might have been buying a TV, you might have been buying a washer or dryer, you might have been buying a new car, you might have, could have been any of a number of things.